Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out Cardano's price chart, and I'm going to tell you in this video why every single thing in ADA so far at least seems to be according to the bullish track, and there is just simply nothing to be worried about. So are you ready? Let's dive in and go on some lower time frames and see what we talked about in the previous update. So in case that you haven't watched the previous video, in it we talked about the possibility of having a starting from this point a 1 2, and we said this move up most likely is going to continue and it's going to be into a wave 3 and 4 and 5. So we specifically said in the next 48 hours we can expect like another move up in ADA, but then maybe we're gonna have a move on the downside. Now before we get into what is going on in this region, let's talk about this specific phase up and go on some lower time frames. By the way, in my own time I rarely go on such lower time frames, but you know, this is for the sake of educational purposes, so I'm thinking it's fine. Okay, I think it is very much now safe to say this was our wave 1 correction for wave 2, and probably this is going to be a 1 2 3 4 5 wave up to about this point into this wave 3 right in here, followed by a correction for 4, there we go, and another move on the upside into wave 5. So bottom line, as you can see, we are absolutely able to find a complete 5 wave starting from here to about this point, which is a great sign. Now let's go around here. You see, this was the main reason for why in the previous video we said we have to continue our move up in the short term, because if you want to argue that we are going to have a final low around here, let's say, I don't know, maybe this is like a very important support, then okay, fair enough. In terms of Elliott waves, which is specifically my field of works, you need to be able to find off of the lowest low a 1 2 3 4 5 wave on the upside. This specific example is called an impulsive movement. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 is just simply not allowed to be the smallest wave. And in terms of the sub waves, you know what's happening. 5 wave up into wave 1 3 5, okay. And for our corrections we can have different possibilities. Let's say WXY into wave 4, and sure, an ABC structure into wave 2. And this, my friends, is the very reason for why am I right now very much bullish in ADA, and I do think that we are going exactly according to the bullish case. Let's go now on 30-minute time frame. Okay, so given the recent move up, I think it is now absolutely safe to argue, look, this is a clear-cut, pitch perfect 1 2 3 4 5 with all the subwaves, which is a great sign suggesting, you know what, in ADA we are looking magnificent, and also this was actually the low of our correction, and this is actually a bit of a bullish setup. What? Let's go on H1 time frame. There we go. So here's the situation. You can consider different counts in ADA, but for now at least here is my primary one. I'm thinking this 5 wave up now, it's going to be into a wave 1 followed by a correction for wave 2. And what's next if this count is happening? You know the answer. We are going to have a massive move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5, meaning since we are not still on our way to complete the sub waves for this wave 3, we can expect at one point, I'm gonna say probably in the next couple of weeks in ADA, our move up to accelerate quite a bit and see some beautiful exciting price action. So this, my friends, is why overall I am very much bullish in Cardano. Now having said all that, let's go on some lower time frames and see what is going on. And according to my primary case, I'm actually thinking about having A, B, C zigzag, but whether we are, for example, in this phase down into our C leg, or maybe somewhere around these areas into our A leg, that can be up for debate. But before we get into all that, you need to know in terms of the sub waves, we're gonna have 5 down into A, correction for wave B, let's say show ABC. We can have like a WXYZ, maybe even a triangle, doesn't really matter, and then another 5 wave down into C. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is going on. And first things first, let's start counting waves from this point. Why? Because I think it's very clear that we are actually having a 1 2 3 4 5 in here. And why is this important? Because you can also argue this is from this point like an ABC on the upside followed by an ABC down. So essentially I'm trying to tell you, look, odds are on a higher degree starting from the lowest low down here, this is an ABC flat up, meaning the current move down is actually going to continue a bit more. Now, in my view, this is from here a 1 correction for wave 2, 5 down into wave 3, probably to about this point, followed by a correction for 4, another move down into wave 5, and now you can consider different counts. For example, you can say maybe in ADA, this is 1 correction for 2, and now we can get like a deep move down into wave 3 and 4 and 5. And at that point, maybe this yellow 5 wave down is going to be into a larger degree A leg, something like this. And then it's going to be time to have a move up. However, that move is going to be a correction structure into wave B, and we're going to have another move down into our C leg, meaning overall, this is once more a bullish count, indicating that on a higher degree, this is 1, this is 2, and what's next? Big move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5. So one scenario, which is this one, suggests that this is probably the beginning of our correction structure down, which might actually take quite some time. Are we allowed to consider some other counts? Yes, but even in that one, I'm going to still argue that we are having ABC. However, this time I'm comfortable to say that this 5 wave down by itself is actually into an A leg, followed by an ABC flat into wave B, and we are now might be on our way down to complete another 5 wave into our C leg. At the moment, I actually like this scenario just a bit more than the previous one, suggesting this is probably our last phase down in ADA. However, let me be very clear, by any means, this doesn't mean that from the current point, we're going to get a massive move up. No, in fact, I want to tell you, probably in the next 4 to 7 days, maybe we are going to continue our move on the downside. Why? Let's go on 15-minute time frame. I'm thinking probably this is 1, this is 2. A strong impulse on the downside into wave 3, and right now we might be having like an A, B, C flat into wave 4, and what's next? You guessed it right, another move down into wave 5, and at that point our move down is not going to be over. Why? Because this yellow 5 wave down, it's going to be into a larger degree wave 3, followed by a correction for 4, another move down into wave 5, meaning in this phase in ADA, most likely we are actually going to take the lowest low down here, about 87.5 cents, but I'm thinking we are probably going to go a bit lower, and what can be a likely target for our move down? At the moment, in my view, we should actually pay attention to what is going on in terms of classic TA, because we do have this significant level, and I think if we go down and reach to about the lower band of this region in order to have a clear retest, is not going to be a bad sign at all. So essentially in Cardano, even if we get a 13 to 15% move down, it's not really going to worry me. Odds are it's just going to be part of the bullish process in order to complete the subwaves for this beautiful looking ABC zigzag. So as you can see, overall seems like in Cardano we are looking great and bullish. However, in the short term, fair enough, the story can be a little bit different, but don't worry, it's just all part of the process. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Cardano's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.